Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Saturday Morning Coffee with Back to Basics Dog Training. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Leon. I'm the head trainer here over at Back to Basics Dog Training, and thank you for tuning in today. And as always, it's my pleasure to be here. If you're watching now or later on the replay, give me a shout out in the comments. Let me know you're watching. Put a comment in. Hey, watching from Timbuktu, wherever you're watching from. Let me know. Give me an idea. And of course, if you have any questions, either now live in living color or later on the replay. Good morning, Jenna. How are you today? If you have any questions either now or later on watching on the replay, please, by all means, put the comments in. I'll get to all the questions either now live or later on the replay. Good morning, Michelle and Athena. How's everything going on Long Island? So as always, until I start seeing some questions populating, I'm going to start off on a subject, and it does go to things we've talked about in the past on this live platform. This morning alone, being part of the wonderful Facebook community, I was going through, just browsing through, and unfortunately, I saw at least 5 different posts on different groups I'm part of about dogs that got out of people's houses or out of people's yards and unfortunately did not survive when they escaped. Good morning, Dante. How are you? And I think I said your name wrong, and I apologize. You did tell me the other day how to say it. So I'm going to talk about episode 2 of my How to Leash Train Your Dog playlist on my YouTube channel. And when I'm done with this chat today, I'm going to post that video on my Facebook page, as well as anybody who's watching from the Remember Me Rescue site on this, I'm going to post it on theirs. I am going to put the link into my YouTube channel on the video. About halfway through the video, there'll be a link where you can click to it, and I'll put it in all the comments and everything as well. Guys, I can't stress how important threshold management is to save our dog's life. I use threshold management. I talk about it constantly for the walk. It's so much more than the walk. My version of threshold management is front door open doesn't mean out, gates open doesn't mean out, back door open, whatever it is to the outside world, those thresholds, those doors, the gates, the garage door, whatever it may be, does not give the dog carte blanche to run out of through that threshold. So it's real important, guys, from the time a puppy is 8 weeks old and you get it home. If you rescue a dog and it's an older dog, one of the first things everybody should work on with the puppies, I always say it's the come command. With the older dogs, I kind of change that up a little bit, but the come command is still the most important basic obedience command out there. But really, guys, you got to start putting some stress on threshold management. And I'm going to go through it. It will save dogs' lives. Period. End of discussion. Because you and I know that if a dog gets out that front door, you can live on a quiet residential neighborhood street. Speed limit's 30 miles an hour. Nobody freaking drives 30 miles an hour anymore. Everybody's in a rush to get absolutely nowhere. And if your dog bolts out, they're not going to have time to stop. And even if they are driving 30 miles an hour, they can tap the dog at 10 miles an hour and the dog gets severely hurt. Even if it doesn't get killed, it will get severely hurt if it gets hit by a car or bus or truck or UPS or whatever. So we're going to talk in depth about threshold management. And if anybody has any questions regarding threshold management, put them in your comments because it's that damn important. I will answer those day in, day out. So what do I mean by that? You can't do threshold management, one, without a leash. It's impossible. And you want to take my threshold management theory to the umpteenth degree. And what I mean by that, it's not just your front door. It's your side doors. It's the door leading from your house into the garage. It's if you have a garage attached to the house. It's the garage door itself. It's the back door where you let the dog out. And if you have a fenced-in yard, you take it to the gate and you drill it into the head of the dog that they are never allowed to cross any of those thresholds without permission. So how do you accomplish that? You set your dogs up for success by setting them up for failure. If you have a dog that normally tries to bolt out the door, I don't care if it's when your guests come over, you come home, whatever it may be, or your gates are open or the back door because that's their playground, you put the dog on the leash, you open the door, and when the dog goes to run through that threshold, you let them get right to the threshold itself, and you make a firm leash correction, pop of the leash, and you say no in the most stern, assertive voice you can. Staying calm. No anger, no frustration, guys. We all know that. And you do this 100 times. It should get to the point that if you do this right and you focus on threshold management, after a period of time, you should be able to get a 25-foot leash, walk out your front door. You can have the dog sit at the front door, the gate, whatever you're using at the day. Doesn't have to sit. I just don't want forward motion. Anybody who knows me knows I don't care about the physical action of sitting there. I just don't want the forward motion. So if I tell you to stay and you're not sitting, that's fine. If I tell you to sit, then you have to sit. Whatever it is, I don't really put so much onus on the actual sitting. I don't want forward motion. But the goal is that you should be able to go out 25-foot leash, holding it in 2 fingers on your hand, walk 25 feet out without any tension on your leash, with your back turned to your dog, and you should be able to walk out 25 feet and come back in and praise your dog or invite your dog out. Now, here's where I think people get confused with threshold management. Most dogs that I work with are very obedient dogs. You tell them to sit, stay, they sit, they stay for a short period of time. Part of threshold management is getting through to the state of mind of your dog, and that's lowering that excitement to get into the outside world. What do I mean by that? So we're working threshold management. We have a 6-foot leash on. Dog stays at the front door. I've been able to walk out to the end of the 6-foot leash. The dog is still staying there. And then I invite Zoe out. And I say, Zoe, come. And if Zoe bolts out through that threshold at 700 miles an hour, her mind is not calm and she has to go back in to the house. You want them at every single time, not 9 out of 10 times, 100% of the time, to walk through those thresholds like ladies and gentlemen, because that means you have a calmer state of mind. And you guys always hear me talk about calm states of mind. It is super, super imperative, because if they're not in a calm state of mind, you can't control them. And they're making the decision to out the door. And we don't want them to make that decision that it's okay to bolt out the door, because that's what's going to get them hurt or possibly killed, God forbid. So take the time. I don't know if Donna or Rich are on. Usually they give me a pop-up and say hi. But one of the biggest things we had to do with their dog, Stark, is work on threshold management. Because he saw an open door, he was going. As most dogs will. There's a lot of stimulus out there. There's a lot of fun out there. There's a lot of things to smell out there. There's other animals out there. There's so much, that can cause them to get into trouble. So the key is teach them. It's never, ever allowed to, they're never, ever allowed to go through those thresholds without permission. And they have to go through those thresholds calmly. Like I say, ladies and gentlemen, and they should be focused on you all through that process. Because if they're not focused on you and they're looking around you, and I had a dog like this, and I'm going to use this as an example. There was a dog, Emma, that I worked with 100 years ago, guys. Emma was a Beagle Pity mix, we think. High energy dog. Extremely excitable, goofball, lovable dog, but the biggest freaking goofball on the face of the earth. And the person that contacted me about helping with Emma, the biggest problem is she couldn't walk the dog. Well, Emma, everything was excitement to Emma. A leaf fall, anything was excitement. This dog was just constantly in a state of mind, excited state of mind. So what I worked very hard on her is to teach her leash manners, leash etiquette. But I really focused in my training with her, one-on-one training, on threshold management. I would tell her to sit. She would sit at the door. I'd walk out. It took me probably a good half hour, 45 minutes to get her to walk out through the door like a lady. And we did this 100 times in my sessions with her. until she understood there's never an acceptable time to run out. Well, it was working. And then, of course, because I was able to keep her calm walking through the threshold, the actual walk was so much better because her state of mind was calm already. It was easier for me to walk her around the neighborhood with other stims out there. And it is crucial to keep her calm at that point, because once we got into the outside world and the neighbor's dog 2 doors down behind the fence, instead of her already starting at here and then going here, she was here and then she went here, and I was able to control her a lot easier because that excitement level wasn't high to start with. Guys, if this makes sense, please put it in the comments. Let me know if you need me to clarify. This is when I saw all those posts this morning about these unfortunate dogs that got out and didn't make it back home, it kills me, because this is something we can take the time to fix. And it's not that hard, and it shouldn't be about anger. It shouldn't be about frustration. It should just be, oh my God, let's do this. This is a fun bonding thing with the dog. Because I say it's a bonding thing with the dog because the dog's going to look at you differently because you're going to speak its language, saying this is no longer, that state of mind is no longer acceptable. And we got to keep these dogs in a calmer state of mind, guys. I stress this. But when I saw those posts this morning, I mean, it literally tore my heart out. It's not fair to the dogs. It's not fair to your family, because who wants to go through that? I'll give you a clue. Right here in this apartment complex where I live, lady has 3 small dogs. Somehow, one of the dogs got out of her apartment. All night, she had no idea what this little thing was. And the little chihuahua things, I don't think it snuck underneath the crack of the door, but somehow it thought it was okay when that door was open for whatever reason to go out. Thank God a good neighbor found the dog, took the dog in for the night. The next day she got her dog back, so that worked out really well. But think about that tragedy that could have happened. I mean, right out the complex, here's a busy road. It's a 35-mile-an-hour road. I'm telling you now, I drive 35 miles an hour on that road. I got people up my tuchus being pissed off at me because I'm driving the speed limit. So think about what could have happened if it wasn't for a good neighbor that took the dog in for the night. But why did the dog think it was okay to go out through that threshold? It shouldn't. It's got to be drilled into these dogs. Guys, I can't stress it enough. And not only will it save their lives, like I said, for people that do take the time to walk the dogs, even though we have big backyards and all the excuses we have for not walking dogs, if we can master threshold management today, your walks will be so much better. I know week in, week out, I talk about my YouTube channel. I keep an eye on it, guys. I don't see a lot of pops on some of the videos that I recommend to you guys. I really strongly recommend watching. If you don't watch the whole Mastering the How to Leash Train Your Dog playlist, it's 5 parts. If you don't want to watch the whole thing, focus on episode 2. Threshold management, threshold management, threshold management. It will save your dog's life. If you focus on threshold management and you get your dog to understand that going into the outside world is not about excitement, you will have a more enjoyable walk. And then also you can go out and you can enjoy being with your dog, bonding with your dog, that one-on-one bond when you walk your dog. It should be such a pleasurable thing. It should never, ever be a stress factor. So again, guys, let me know if this all makes sense. I don't see any questions coming in, so I'm hoping I get some questions soon. It makes that much of a difference. Not only if you focus on threshold management, will your walks be better, but in the same time, you will save your dog's life. And then that'll come to the second part of what I was going to say. The next most important command needs to be, and it is the most important basic obedience command, the come command. People, you need to put more effort into teaching your dog the recall. I'm not going to say it's a recall command because you're recalling the dog to you. And again, you have to set your dog up for success. You start that with your leash. Your leash is your second best training tool, period. First best training tool, guys, energy. We know this. Good morning, Cindy. How are you? What is my YouTube channel? My YouTube channel is Back to Basics Dog Training. Look for the logo that you see in the upper corner. I'm trying to do, one of these days I'm going to master it right there, or behind me. Look for my logo. It's Back to Basics Dog Training. Please make sure if you do go onto it, subscribe to it. I need some subscribers on there. I will put a link to Threshold Management if you're on Facebook. So I will put it to on the bottom of this um, video after I'm done here. I'll put a link to the one video of Threshold Management, and I'll put another link to the complete YouTube channel. Guys, it's real important. Follow the steps. If you're going to use my How to Leash Train Your Dogs playlist, it's 5 episodes. Master episode 1 before you go to episode 2. Master episode 2 before you go to episode 3, and so on and so forth. But right now, what my concern is what I saw on Facebook this morning. These dogs getting out and getting, unfortunately, killed or hurt by cars. I'm using that episode 2 for the sheer point of teaching your dog every single threshold that leads to the outside world. And I'm going to repeat it. It's not only the front door, guys. If you have a side door, mudroom door, it's that door. If you have a back door, even though you have a fenced-in yard and that's their playground, I know all the excuses we have. Teach the dog it's not okay to just bolt out that door at 700 miles an hour. Take it to, if you have an attached garage, to the door that leads between the house and the actual physical garage. Then take it to the big garage door. And don't forget about your gates. You guys are on Facebook. How many times after a windstorm, a hurricane, whatever, do you hear, what's the thing you always see before these storms come? Check your gates. Check your gates. Make sure your gates are secure. If you teach your dog that gate's open, it doesn't mean you're allowed out. They're not going to leave. It's funny. We say this about gates, but when you have some of those bad windstorms, fence panels can come down, and that's another reason why I don't like dogs going out through the back door, even though I have a fenced-in yard, with that excitement. Because if the fence is down, they're gone. If the gate's open, they're gone. So if I can control them going out, it's easier for them to be in a calmer state of mind, and we'll be, look at that, yay! Makes a ton of sense. So many dogs in Sun City do not have threshold training. Yeah, I really want to get back now that I'm down here. Once I get back from my trip up north, I'm going to try to set up seminars, talk to the clubhouses around here, and really do a Master in the Walk seminars. I don't know how I'm going to work it yet, but it's something I got to think about. Michelle says, Athena is being more bossy and demanding than ever. She barks and moans when she doesn't get her way. It's frustrating. I feel like we take one step forward, two steps back with her. I think she's bored and doesn't get enough exercise. Rob thinks she's just undisciplined. Yes to both. She is probably bored. She is probably frustrated. She's a big dog. I know you guys have been working with another trainer. I'm hoping by this point you've got her out on the walk, that you're walking her in the structure that we have set up and you and I have discussed personally, the structure of the walk where you're challenging her brain more than the physical. Because don't forget, guys, to physically tire out a dog, it's very hard. It is. It's almost impossible. But you can mentally tire them out. A mentally tired dog's a good dog because they have no energy to cause problems for us. But if she's being more bossy and demanding, she may be at that stage, because I know she's a stubborn girl, where, all right, are these people really going to seriously be my pack leaders? I'm going to push them. I'm going to push them. I'm going to push them. Let's see if they're serious. And it's how you handle her being bossy and demanding. And that's that no anger, no frustration, but no nonsense. Cut it out, kid. You're acting like an ass. So again, we can, with Athena, we took a hiatus on training as it was too hot to summer, but be resuming shortly. Absolutely resort as soon as possible. And that's Michelle, that's actually a real good point that I want to bring up to people. I understand it was too hot, but put yourself in the dog's mind. When we're doing this, we're starting to establish structure, and then what happened? I always relate to kids going to school. one of the hardest things for most kids is they start school in September or whatever. I'm going to use New York in September. Then they get that, they get a couple of days off here and there because of different holidays, and they get the 2 weeks off for Christmas or whatever season greetings holiday, because I got to be politically correct. They get 2 weeks off at the end of December to the beginning of January. Some kids have a hard time after not having that structure of school for 2 weeks, getting their butts back to school. And then at the end of the year, when they stop in June and have to go back, how hard is it to get the kids back into the world of structure and boundaries and rules and all that type of stuff? So it's really important. I understand it's hot. So instead of working with the dogs for an hour, work with them at least 15 minutes where you're in control. So you may not be getting a longer stretch, but it's real important to continue to work with them in training mode. Guys, it's so crucial. We come up with, and I'm not trying to be an ass about this, Michelle, but we come up with excuses on why we can't do this. You have to. It's for the dog's sake. Staying consistent with training, especially in the training phases. Guys, I mean, Zoe's through the whole process. Do I have to stay as consistent with her? No. But I still feed her on leash outside in the yard for all meals. I didn't realize you feed her outside. Yeah, you haven't taken her out of the yard yet. Yeah, she needs to be pushed to the next level. She needs to get pushed to the next level. And again, yeah. The reason I say you need to push it to the next level is if you're staying in the yard at this point, she's bored. And that's one of the things you said. She's bored. She needs more of that. She needs to start pushing her limits. I understand it's hot. I mean, it's cooler now from what I can tell. But you need to start pushing her out of her comfort zone and out of your comfort zone to a better level. But remember, guys, where this is going to make or break this, Michelle, is your energy. Your energy staying calm, trusting yourself, trusting your girl over there that she's going to have that good walk and we're going to get 2 doors down. I'm not saying go for a 10-mile walk because that'd be insane. But you got to start pushing past everybody's comfort zone. And again, for her safety and for your energy level, she goes out through that gate. Threshold management at the gate. She has to walk out through that gate like a lady. I don't give a crap. And she has to focus on you. Her muzzle should be on, so you don't have to worry. And and just keep going. By the way, I meant to ask you, Michelle, did you take her back to the vet to finish up the shots? And how'd that go? I know Athena's muzzle conditioned. Use the muzzle on the walks. You use a good Baskerville so she can still pant. Get her out there. You got to get her out there. We've been saying this for a while now. I don't know what processes if you worked with the other trainer. But I would definitely suggest getting back to it. You're the pack leader. Don't let this bossy crap. This is like my kids being bossy with me. Sorry, ain't happening. My kids are older now and they still can't boss me around. So go back. It's okay, guys. I was talking to people the other day, last night. Haven't been back yet. Next Friday, muzzle training her in the meantime. Beautiful. And really, Michelle, if you're going back to that same vet, before you got till next Friday, so you got a week, get on the phone with them and say, listen, I understand she acted like a little idiot the last time. Can Rob or I come in we'll wear our mask, we'll keep the best social distancing, but I think it'll help her to the next step. Try to plead your case with the vet as best as you can. I still hate this whole theory of handing my dog off to a vet tech in a parking lot and the vet. I hate all that theory. I was going somewhere and I forgot where I was going. So, wow, senior moments. So I was talking to somebody the other day, people the other night, and we were talking about succeeding and how to go about doing certain things in our life. Not about dog training. It was about our lives. Corporate ownership doesn't allow us in. Oh, it's one of those VMA or whatever the hell they're called. I'd write a letter to the corporate office, email it, and put a sense of urgency on it. That's a bunch of bullcrap. I'm sorry. I understand, and I feel bad for you because it's fighting City Hall at this point. But I would do anything in my power to fix this situation. So even, I think it's VMA, Veterinary Medicine Association, whatever the hell it's called, which I hate that group personally, but I don't care if people hear me say that. I don't. I'd be typing emails to them, having other people maybe support you, because it's got to change. It's not fair to the dog. It's a stressor for the dogs. Benfield, you know what? I'm going to try to write a letter to them today. I'm going to write a letter too. As a trainer, from a trainer's point of view, I'm going to send them an email today. Michelle, if you see, I think I have your email address, but if you text me your email address again, I'll CC you on the email I write, because I'm going to do it from a trainer's point of view, saying how I think what they're doing is actually detrimental to the dogs. What the hell? I like causing problems, so it's cool. But Michelle had mentioned, sometimes she feels like she's taking that, one step forward, two steps back, two steps forward, one step back, whatever it may be. You know what, guys? That's okay. And I tell this to people all the time. I talk about it as far as not only in dog training, but in real life situations, in human life situations, in life in general. Taking the step forward and taking two steps back, or vice, whatever the saying is okay. And I relate a lot of things to sports. I don't know how many of you people on here watch soccer or participate in soccer, but sometimes you need to pass backwards to go forwards. It's okay, because it gives you a chance to regroup. When we take those steps backwards, it's okay. Why did we, and I hate that question, why did we have to take that step backwards? What do I need to move forward? Well, using my sports analogy, there was a defender in my way. Okay, so we pass backwards to get around the defender. That's cool. Same thing when we're working with our dogs. Every day is not going to be success where we're going to move forward. That's okay. But as long as the last thing we do when we're in those training exercises is move forward to get towards the goal, we're okay. And so is the dog. But the last part of that training exercise has to be the moving forward, where we get the win and not the dog. It's going to happen. That's part of life in general. We take those two steps forward. We pass back to regroup that for that split second. Okay, we hit a stumbling block. What do we do? What do we need to do to get around that stumbling block? And if we stay clear and not fall into that frustration of the step back or the two steps back, because once we get frustrated with that, and you're frustrated, you can't think properly, guys. I mean, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a therapist. It's just what I've learned in life. You get frustrated like that, and I'll use my own thing. And I know Jonah's on here, and I bowled with her husband Al, and I bowled with him 100 years ago when we both lived on Long Island. And my own frustration when I wasn't bowling good made me bowl worse, because I would get in my own head. Once we get to that anger and that frustration, that's why I have that trademark saying. I'm going to put it up here if I can find it, because I know I have it on here. Here it is. Bam. The reason that no anger, no frustration part of this is so important to me is because once we're angry and frustrated, we cannot think properly. You can't get a concise thought through your head. It's impossible, guys. We may think we can. You can't. It can't. I'm sorry. Unless everybody is that much better than me. But once we hit anger and frustration, because then why is this happening? What we were doing so good yesterday, and you start playing all this in your head, but you're not thinking of what you really want at that point, which is, okay, this happened. How do I get around it? And that's why I have that no anger, no frustration, no nonsense trademark. It's important to me. And it's not only important for dog training, it's important in my life. Because I've learned over the years that anger and the frustration stops me from moving forward. And that's what happens with the dogs. We think we're doing really good. All of a sudden, we take that step back. Why? Oh my God, you're doing so good. And the frustration sets in. Forget it. Okay, it happened. What do we do to move forward? That's why they invented the 3-point turn on cars. You go forward, you go back, you go forward again. I mean, think about it. But it's so important. I understand this frustration in the world. We're human. We get frustrated. But the quicker you get rid of the frustration so you can think in a clear manner, which is a calm manner, then you'll learn how to move it forward. Yes, Athena's being bossy and right now demanding. Well, you have to up your game and show her no more of the stuff. And, if you have to keep a short leash on her in the house so you can make corrections, or keep the e-collar on her all the time so you can make corrections without the anger and the frustration, hey, these are the rules. Kid, get over yourself. It's real important. So don't worry about that step back. Look at that step back as an opportunity. Guys, I can't stress it enough. And it's the same thing when I talked earlier, going back to my threshold management. You may see for 2-3 weeks your dog is doing perfect. Oh my God, I don't even have to say anything. Knows the weight, knows for my release word. Yay. And then on day 22, because I said 3 weeks, day 22, dog acts like an idiot and goes out. Just come back in and reinforce it. Made a mistake. Caca happens. But you can't get frustrated with the processes, guys. And you can't get frustrated with that step back because that's part of life. And dogs do test us. Think about it. If you ever raise kids, they're babies. You start setting rules. They become toddlers. We start. Hear me? Give me a shout out because I just got a weird thing coming up on my screen. Or text me if. Let me know if you guys still hear me because I don't know what the hell's going on, but it's saying my stream isn't working. Am I still on, guys? Well, if not, I'm going to finish up because I know it's still recording and you can catch it on the replay. Okay, good. Good. Can you remind me what the hell I was saying before I started seeing all this crap popping up on my screen? Taking those steps backwards it's okay. It's really okay. Don't get frustrated. If your dog makes a mistake after we started doing this, and like I said, we got 3 good weeks of doing everything right, and the dog is being so good, and we're starting to let our guard down. Half of the problem is we let our guard down. So, I was going into raising kids. So it's the same theory. Babies, toddlers, preteens, and then they become teenagers, and they test us as parents. Everybody who's had kids knows this. If you establish the rules for your children from baby to toddler to preteen, when they test us as as teenagers, it's easier to get them back into control because we've already set 99% of the boundaries. And that's what I'm saying with the dogs. You establish the rules, you establish your boundaries. They're doing good. They're going to become teenagers and they're going to test you. And that's when you have to step up your game a little bit and don't let the anger and the frustration in. Try not to let it in any time, but we're human. And just, hey, you know better than this. Let's go back to basics. Athena said, Athena is like an insolent teenager. If I let consistent discipline, she becomes a nut again. Absolutely. That's her personality. But like I said, I think she needs more mental stimulation, not physical, mental. Once you can master the walk in the outside world and you're comfortable and she's not reacting to everything and you're not worried about her reacting to everything and all this crap that's going through our heads, you're going to see she'll change. Guys, I always talk about the walk. The walk is the best thing for fixing a lot of behavioral issues because the walk's done the right way. Mastering the Walk Back to Basics styles, how to leash train your dog on YouTube, the playlist. It teaches them rules, boundaries, limitations. It's exercise, discipline, then the affection, but it teaches them the most important thing, structure and leadership. When you master the walk the right way, dogs need structure and leadership 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's a lifelong job once you commit to getting a dog. And I can't stress enough, but the walk has to be the first step of it for the dog to understand you're in charge, because you should be controlling every facet of the walk, even when you give them in episode 4 recess and letting them smell pee, poop, or whatever. You're still in control of that recess period. You're in control of that walk. So if you walk your dog for an hour, you should be in control of that dog for an hour. You may lack some of the discipline during recess like they do in school, but there's still rules. So you're in charge. Dogs will appreciate it so much more. But again, if you can't master episode 2, threshold management, I'm going to stress this on blue in the face, you can't even have a good walk. You can't, because the walks need to start at 0 calm. Need to. And the walks, especially when we're in training mode, need to happen on a daily basis. Twice a day, preferably, 3 times a day, ideally. I'll take once a day just because I know how human life is. But ideally, I would like to see minimum of 2 good 45-minute to an hour walks with your dogs twice a day. I'll take it once. I mean, in my perfect world, it's 3 times a day. I know that's not going to happen for a lot of people because we don't have the time in our lives. But if you do that, you will see all these things I talk about week in, week out, my private sessions, these behaviors just go away. That's how important the walk is. And, I've said this before, if people get puppies to learn to have that off-leash experience, you need your leash, guys, off-leash experience with your dog by the time they're 6 to 7 months old, literally, I think would put out the dog training business. Wouldn't need me, because the dog will appreciate you that much more. So I hope this was an informative session, guys. As always, everything I talk about, everything is what I just put up here. Energy is the most important form of communication. That's why I say your leash is your my second favorite training tool. My first favorite training tool is you, the human. Your energy is going to make or break a lot of these situations. That's why we can't let that anger and the frustration in. But I know if you guys really put your heart and soul into this and dedicate whatever amount of time you can to your dog, listen to what I say, implement what I've been trying to tell you, you'll see that it works. So on that note, if there's no other questions, guys, as always, I appreciate you guys letting me into your homes every Saturday morning. It's always a pleasure here. I hope that you guys get some valuable information out of this format. If there's other things you guys want me to discuss on future episodes, shoot me a comment, shoot me a private message. One of the things I did want to put up here today, and I'm going to put it up before I leave because I keep talking about it. If anybody needs to get in touch with me, here's my phone number. Text me. There's my email address, info@backtobasicsdogtraining.com. Email me. If there's certain subjects you want me to bring up on these live chats. Remember, this is for you guys. This isn't for me. This is for you guys. It is for me because I have a lot of fun with it. So, but it's more important that I'm doing what you need me to do, which is answer your questions. If you don't want to put the questions up here while we're going live, but there's a subject or a topic you're not sure about, feeding the dog, bathing the dog, a routine with your dog, I'll be happy to try to answer those questions on my next live chat. But with that being said, guys, if there's no further questions you tried to say in English, as always, thank you again for inviting me into your home. Stay happy, stay safe, stay healthy, stay safe, and God bless. And remember, together we can help one dog and one family at a time. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. We'll see you next Saturday.